How would the fitra leader build or generate self-worth and self-confidence and self-trust so that he is very much living himself and he's very much there with people?
Yeah. So take any one of those that you stated, right? Let's take self-worth, right? So you realize you don't have a high self-worth.
Yeah.
Let's say. And, you know, people walk around and they experience that. All right. So to be in fitra, we've got to sort that out, right? What's that about? Self-worth. So if I'm in a conversation of a low self-worth, gosh, then somewhere, I wasn't born that way. That's not fitra.
Exactly.
So somewhere between now and being born, there's somewhere that started, right? There's a moment in time when something happened. And people mistakenly think it's what happened that made them have low self-worth. No, what happened is just what happened. It's what I then decided, what I made that mean, how I interpreted that situation, what it meant about me or what it meant about others or what it meant about life. And then unbeknownst to me, that shapes the way I act in the world. And I'm now not only looking for evidence of what I've decided, I'm also acting consistent with what I've decided. So I interact with the world a certain way. Let's say I interact with the world from I'm not good enough, which is very common. That some form of I'm not good enough is very common for people.
Yes.
You know, I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good looking enough, or I'm not strong enough, or I'm not big, you know, some form of that.
Yes.
So then you decide something to compensate for that. You know, my own example is, you know, my father told me, you know, we didn't plan a baby, and then we had 2 boys, we wanted a girl, and you popped out, you should have been a girl, and everyone thinks it's a joke, except the 3-year-old here.
Yeah.
That's the moment where I go, uh-oh, I wasn't wanted.
Yeah.
It's not quite what he said.
Exactly.
Okay? And that's enough. That's enough to now you're off down a tunnel, right? I'm the best. So life becomes about, in this case, having to be the best. Prove I'm the best. Find out why I'm better than others. In other words, find faults in other people. So become very critical of other people. And can't enjoy anything because it's never enough. I can find faults with myself. Oh yeah, you did that, but it wasn't this. Oh, it's great, but you could have done this. You know, it's never, ever fulfilling. So until you get that sorted out for yourself, like what he said, we didn't plan a baby. Doesn't mean I don't love you or don't want you. They haven't met you. Not till you're born. Not really. And they wanted a girl. I want a girl if I had 2 boys already. Doesn't mean I don't love you or want you because you come out and you're a boy. Oh, right, we don't want him. No, it's ridiculous. I went, wow. And all this, which fits with your medical stuff, all this trapped emotion, I didn't know it was trapped. I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah.
All this motion came up. It's like, I thought, what's going on with me? It was like literally an earthquake. All this sobbing and tears and then laughing. I mean, it's just all this mix of energy coming out, you know? And then it's like all came out. It was like, wow, I didn't even know all that was there. I mean, it's intense for like 10 minutes. And then I was like, wow, there's nothing wrong with me. And I never even thought to myself, there's something wrong with me. Never had that thought. However, that's the way you end up, some form of, I'm not okay. And I have to be better. Where I just, in that moment, got, I don't have to do anything. Exactly. I'm like here, in the moment. In other words, as we know now, in fitra. I'm in fitra. There is nothing to do. There's nowhere to get. There's nothing to fix. Nothing to improve.
Yes.
Because you're already perfect, whole, complete, just the way you are. From there, you can invent who you are as a leader. Well, what kind of leader do I want to be? What do I want to be up to in the world? You know?
Nothing is like stopping me. Nothing is
nothing. You know, and I've got training. You've got training. I have training in leadership, you know, up to that point. You've got training in medicine. And here we are, you're in the world, out to impact in the biggest way possible through your medical knowledge, medical background, but connecting what we're talking about.
Yes. I would like to ask you a question. I would like to get actually your opinion on how do you see the relationship between feelings, emotion, and how a fitra leader manages them to manage them at the moment, at the now, so that he is actually living so much in his leadership and so much with great impact on himself, on others.
Yes, it's, what comes to mind is an example,
Yeah.
right, of myself, and it's in my book, and it's in the chapter about fear, how fear stops us. And fear is not always overt. It's not like, oh, it's not always like that. Sometimes it's very subtle, like, I just don't feel like doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing right now. Or I procrastinate, or I get distracted easily, or I'm just tired, you know, or I just don't want to, or, you know, there's many ways that fear shows up. Self-sabotage, fearing of the future, you know, so it's not always obvious. So I've got this whole chapter on fear. And speaking about fitra. So fitra is a natural state. Unfortunately, we have a body.
Yes.
Right? And we need a body. We can't not have a body to be here. But people, unfortunately, relate to their body as who they are. That's me. You know? Well, if you lost an arm, okay, yes, you wouldn't have an arm, but there'd be no less of you. You would still be you.
Yeah.
There's no less you because you don't have an arm. Yeah, you don't have an arm. Well, you have a body that doesn't have an arm. You are still you. Okay, so that's physical stuff. Then people think, well, my feelings, they're important to me, my feelings. Yeah, because you really feel them. You do feel them, right? So it really feels like you feel more real somehow because you're feeling your feelings. But consider they're not really you. And fear, I think, is a very, very tangible one for people to get. You know, if something happens, you're feeling fear. You know, you're driving along perfectly legally. You see a police car in your mirror. You know, you feel fear. The brain works in a certain way, is that it is looking for, you know, survival, right? And the amygdala will override the logic of the frontal cortex. Okay, so there you are. You know completely logically that you're driving well, and then you see that, and the amygdala sees that, and panic. You know, because the emotions override the cognitive processes of the brain, because you've got to survive. Whatever you think, you've got to get out of the way, or whatever you think, you've got to, you know, run fast or fight, you know. So fear is a good example. So there I am. I'm about to walk to the front of the room. When I was in London, I was about to walk to the front of the room. There's all these leaders there, and I start feeling all this fear, right? But I didn't quite identify it as fear. I just thought, oh God, I don't know. I just don't feel, man, I'm feeling like blocked to walk to the front, of like feeling stopped. What is going on with me? And I kind of locate it and I get it. It's all in my stomach. It's kind of like this, right? I went, oh, that's just my fear. That's not me. What's going on? What's actually causing that? I had a thought, you know, I'm going to screw up, because thoughts aren't you either, but that's a whole other conversation. You have thoughts all the time. They're automatic. I'm going to screw up. I'm going to look stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. And once they start, they come in like an avalanche, right? So you got that going on. You've got fear going on. You go, wait. Okay, yeah, my fear's there. All right, it's what's happening. That's what my body's doing right now. The thoughts, yes, I'm having these thoughts. All right, fine. What am I doing here? What's my purpose? What am I committed to? Oh, I'm here to empower these people, work with them with what they're dealing with, and empower them. All right, great. I'm going to go and do that. And the symptoms, if you like, kind of quieten down.
Yeah.
Because I am now not them. The moment you recognize it as what it is, you have a power over it. You're not it. But when you don't recognize it, you're kind of caught up in it like it is you. And you're identified with it as you. What we're doing is recognizing these different aspects of that come along with being human, right? That are not actually you. They're just, the body. They're the feelings. They're the emotions you're experiencing. And there's the thoughts you're having. And so when you're able to distinguish those from you, there's you. And there is none of that going on with you. Yes, you are imbued with this ability to experience all those things, hear them and feel them and see them, and they touch, but you also, once you've experienced fitra, you have now a way to separate you from all that stuff. So you might not always be in fitra just because you've gotten to fitra, as in my example. All of a sudden I'm not in fitra. I'm in this whirlwind of stuff going on.
Yes.
Which is much why meditation is okay, but it doesn't really last, because the moment you go out into life, you've got all this stuff to deal with.
Yes.
And your brain is doing what it's doing. It's sending signals and firing off and all of that stuff. So getting back to your question, how does a fitra leader deal with all of that? You deal with it by being able to, having done the work you and I are doing now and the courses we're offering and reading the book, able to see it for what it is. And once you can see it for what it is, the game's up. You're no longer tricked, It's like, I don't know if you have Wizard of Oz out here. Did you have the Wizard of Oz movie?
I think we have the movie, yes.
Yes, at the end where they pull the curtain back, and the big bad Wizard of Oz is this little guy. He's just well, when you get all these emotions and fears and for what they are, it's like, it's not real.
Yeah.